A new home. For so many of us, that's the ultimate dream. But what happens when the perfect-looking house is actually a nightmare in disguise? That's exactly what we're talking about today. We're going to decode the critical warning signs so that your next property is a huge success and not a financial disaster.
Okay, let's dive right in. The decision to get a new home, whether you're buying or renting, it's one of the biggest we make in our entire lives. We're talking about a massive financial and emotional investment. So this question is anything but trivial. How do you make sure you're making the right call?
Let's start with buying a house. Here, you've got some very real physical warning signs that you absolutely have to spot during a viewing. These are the kinds of things you can see, smell, and even feel. That is, if you know what you're looking for. And right away, we're at the absolute horror story for any homeowner: moisture and mold. It's just like an iceberg. What you see on the surface, a little stain, a faint smell, is often just the tip of a giant problem deep inside the building's structure. So what specifically should you be looking out for? First, trust your nose. A musty smell is often the first and most honest warning sign. Then start looking for the visual clues: dark spots, condensation on the windows, or wallpaper that's starting to peel away. But the most important tip: be nosy. Look behind the cabinets, peek into the darkest corners. That's exactly where the expensive problems love to hide. Now let's get to the worst-case scenario: structural damage. We're not just talking about aesthetics or health anymore. This is about the stability and safety of the entire building. This is the point where things can get really, really expensive. So what's at stake financially here? Damage to the building structure can quickly lead to costs of 50,000 up to 200,000 euros, and sometimes even more. So you have to look closely for cracks in load-bearing walls, for floors that are slanted, or doors that stick. These aren't just cosmetic flaws. They are alarm bells for your bank account. This quote just sums it up perfectly, doesn't it? An extremely low price is rarely a gift. It's usually a warning sign for hidden defects, legal issues, or the kind of massive damage we've just been talking about. So you have to be skeptical. If an offer seems too good to be true, you need to ask why. But it's not just buyers who are at risk. Let's shift gears now to the invisible dangers, the ones lurking in tenancy law. For renters, the biggest traps can be hidden in the fine print and in surprising court rulings that can be just as serious as a damp cellar. Let's look at 3 surprising court rulings that every renter really should know about. They show just how quickly you can fall into a legal trap and face unexpected costs. This is knowledge that is literally worth its weight in gold. This first case is a real mind-bender. A tenant returned their keys before the lease was officially up. The landlord objected, but then wanted to claim damages later. Too late. The court decided that the 6-month statute of limitations for the landlord begins the moment they have the chance to inspect the apartment undisturbed, so from the moment the keys are handed over. The crucial point is the return of possession, not the formal end of the contract. Now for the second case, and this one's important for pet lovers. A landlord wanted to revoke permission for a dog, claiming it was a so-called fighting dog. The court made it clear: once permission to keep a pet has been granted, it can't just be revoked arbitrarily. Animals are not things. Dogs, especially, are considered family members. So unless the landlord can prove there's a serious reason, like a concrete danger, they can't just take it back. This third case is a tough lesson. A tenant fainted and, in the process, damaged a glass door. She argued that it was an accident and not her fault. The court saw it differently. The key point is this: damages like these, even if they're unintentional, do not fall under contractual use. The responsibility for the operational risk of one's own body lies with the tenant. They have to pay for the damage. So what do we learn from all this? Whether you're buying or renting, the path to your dream home is full of potential pitfalls. But don't worry, with the right knowledge, you can navigate it safely. Here are the most important lessons. Here's your universal checklist. The foundation is to look closely and be realistic about hidden costs. Just as important is knowing your legal rights. But you don't have to know everything alone. Get expert advice from a surveyor or a lawyer. And finally, and this is crucial, listen to your gut feeling. It's because things are so complex that you don't have to go this route alone. An experienced partner at your side is worth its weight in gold. Professional agents and appraisers, like the experts at Immobilissimo, for instance, know all the pitfalls. They can guide you safely through the process and protect you from mistakes that could end up costing you a fortune.
And that brings us to the last and most critical question. Objective criteria are important. Expert opinions are crucial. But at the end of the day, a home is also a feeling. If, after all the checks, something just doesn't feel right, if your subconscious is sounding an alarm, what is that feeling worth? In the biggest decision of your life, maybe it's the most important warning sign of all.